Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Courtney Humphrey with Opex Technologies. Appreciate everybody jumping on this morning to participate in our Pathfinder demo. I think we've got some really interesting information to talk about today. I think it'll give you guys a perspective of kind of what Opex does on a regular basis to deliver the solutions that we deliver to you. So things that make us a success and help us help you. Yeah, I really look at it as three ways. It's the Opex team, it's our customer community, the businesses we work with, that ecosystem that we learn from every day, and then it's our partner community and our enablers like Avant. We've got Drew Lidecker on today, and we're going to focus on the Pathfinder tool. This is the kind of thing that equips our team with immense data and knowledge to bring real-time information to all our clients. So we appreciate you guys joining. I hope you learn from this today. We'd love to have some conversations, and feel free to put Q&A in. We're going to save that to the end and go over, but I'm going to roll it over to Drew Lidecker. He's the president of Avant. Some of you guys have met him in the past at our events or on other calls or even in meetings, but a phenomenal speaker, a phenomenal presenter. Their organization has come up with a great tool, and there's no one better to present this tool than Drew. So please listen, learn from it, and let us know how we can help you. So Drew, I'm gonna hand it over to you, and let's take it from there.
All right, thanks, Court, and thank you, everyone, coming to you from sunny Chicago here. All you Southern people can eat your heart out. It's an actual 48 degrees here today, so I might even put some shorts on later. But thanks for having me, Court, and I appreciate it from the entire Opex team. And to all of those that I don't know, great to meet you today. We're going to show you some great technology that quite honestly isn't available anywhere else in the world. It's really powering the trusted advisor movement. And it's really one of the reasons why Opex has become the top trusted advisor in the United States. So today we're going to show you the tool in its entirety. Not its complete entirety, but we're going to show you a good amount of it. Most of the stuff that would be important to you through this new world that we live in. We're going to show you some analytics and some research, and we're going to show you how we come up with that analytics and research. JP, if you could, I'm going to kind of start off with a few slides before we get into the tool. So I'm going to have JP kind of take over and show us a couple of these slides. I'm going to start off by kind of talking about the legacy IT world that we've all grown up in, that we know very, very well, and how it's obviously very much changing. And the legacy IT world, prior to COVID, was going through a significant change in the marketplace. And the trusted advisor, like Opex, has been at the forefront of change. And one of the things that we often talk about at Avant, the only constant right now in this world is change. And the rate of change is increasing faster and faster. And it's something that I've been saying for years. But with Corona, that change has never happened so fast. It is pushing new technology and new changes inside of IT faster than anyone could have ever dreamt, including us. And so this legacy IT world that we've all grown up with, and if you could go to the next slide, JP, is quickly adapting into a new world, a world that has, quite honestly, completely shifted faster than even our engineering teams could have dreamt. And really, work from home, obviously, work from home has changed a lot of things, but the digital transformation that companies are going through have changed as well. And what this really depicts is that A there in the middle, is really the Opex and Avant team sitting in the center of this, helping you, take advantage of SaaS-based technologies. Unified communications has never been, quite honestly, bigger than it is right now. We're at the forefront of that. The hyperscaler market is obviously been on a complete and utter tear, and majority of you are probably in that. But the managed hyperscaler market is absolutely exploding. The co-location market, again, all of you probably have data centers where you have a lot of your infrastructure today. That market, again, is growing 100% quarter over quarter, greatly due to the fact that companies are looking to get closer to the cloud, take advantage of hybrid IT. Infrastructure is, again, another area that is rapidly changing, and the choices out there are dramatically different. Things like DaaS technology is exploding. It's actually matured today. We're running some massive deployments on thousands and thousands of desktops as a service, far different than a VDI environment that you would do on your own. And things like disaster recovery as a service have finally hit mainstream, where it's more based on your RTO in your virtual machines, your physical machines, and essentially how fast you want to be up and running now with a full white glove approach. And then security as a service is just an area that in the last handful of years, Opex is really, really focused on. We all believe the MSSP movement is here to stay. It's virtually impossible for any firm, no matter how large you are, to keep up with security today. And so bringing on some of the unusual suspects is what we have done to essentially round out that portfolio. And so this is the world that we sit in the middle of. And there are a tremendous amount of providers. There are a tremendous amount of companies that you've never, ever heard of before. But they're laser focused on a few technologies, and they do it better than anyone else on the planet. And so that's the new world we live in. It's not the AT&Ts and the IBMs and the HPs and the very big companies. Those companies that do a tremendous amount of things struggle to do a few things very, very well. And so what you see here is really a collection of providers, just a small collection of the providers that we all represent, but they're laser focused on core areas. And that's the new world that is emerging. And so how do we stay up to speed? How do we know so much about so many of these providers? It's a tool and it's a process that the trusted advisor movement has been going through for quite some time. And so I'm going to switch into that now. I'm going to switch into the Opex Pathfinder tool, and I'm going to get you up to speed. And JP, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is JP Tucker. I'm Avant's Director of Product, which means I get to oversee all of our Pathfinder technology roadmap and feature development. So I'll be very excited to give you an inside look at what the technology is capable of.
So to recap real quick, and JP is going to be my driver today, Opex today represents over 90 carriers around the world. And these are some companies that you probably are utilizing today, companies that you've probably had for a very long time, but also companies that you've never heard, obviously, as I mentioned before. And so originally they were in the carrier services. All of us were in the carrier world, the connectivity world, the telecom world, representing over 90 plus carriers now around the world. We study the ins and the outs of every single one of them. We know everything that they're doing well, what they're not doing well. We know the emerging providers, the laser focused providers. In the data center space, we're going to show you some tools and technology in here today. Over 1,600 data centers now at our fingertips. We're going to be able to walk around a data center today before you even go and visit it, whether it's in Singapore, Iceland, Iowa, you name it, we have it. Again, we know everything about the data center market, what's inside, how much density they have left, what compliances are they adhering to. We're going to show you that today. In addition to that, we have a massive ecosystem of cloud. Over 100 cloud providers today, from IaaS to DRaaS to BaaS to CCaaS to UCaaS, you name it, we have it. We study it every single day, and we're going to show you that as well. And then lastly, cloud security. We're going to show you some of that as well. Today, over 35 different cloud security providers, mostly the MSSP world, managed white glove. And so we're going to show you that. And so that huge ecosystem, you should be asking yourselves right now, how in the world do you get up to speed across such a massive ecosystem that you represent? And this is where we do it every day. We come in here and we talk about and see and study all of the technologies. These are the main categories. You can click on any one of these categories. And here, instantly in the tool, you have all the latest and greatest security news. This is all of the news that you could curate specifically for the enterprise in the business world. This isn't consumer. This is what's happening inside of our world every single second, constantly updated and served up to us here. We have all of the overviews. We have the key providers that are hot right now in the market. All of this technology inside of this tool is being powered by AI and machine-based learning. We have our interactive quick assessments in here and matrices. And then down below, we can literally type in anything in here and find the most pertinent information immediately based on our search capabilities that we have. This first tab here, the Technology Navigator, this is truly for Opex and all of us. But we want to show you where we get our intellectual property, how we become kind of those 1%ers, knowing 99% more than the industry, because this is all we do. We're focused heavily on this. And so we're studying constantly to keep up to speed. All of this is updated on a daily basis. So anything I missed on that, JP?
No, I think you covered the highlights. I mean, I think, usually where I go from here is to show how much detail we're capturing about each individual service provider within these spaces.
Great. Next up, I want to show you the provider portfolio, so you can get a real understanding of this massive ecosystem that we have at our fingertips. So anything that you're looking to potentially replace or looking to do better or looking to bring in a different type of service, this is the area where we come in and we study. And it's broken down into cloud and unified communications and data center and connectivity. And what we can do here is we can click on any of these tiles and find the most up-to-date information on that constantly evolving ecosystem of service providers. So here we clicked on 8x8. One of the things that I really like to point out is the massive ecosystem around Opex. Opex is really that Navy SEAL team, first guys in. They're going to be hand-to-hand with you. They're going to be understanding your business, but they're surrounded by a massive support structure. Here, the tool is smart enough to know all of Opex channel teams that support them day in and day out at every one of our service providers. So we have the full team broken out here, and actually the Opex team is surrounded by about almost 400 individuals that are supporting them day in and day out from each and every one of the service providers. Here we get all of the relative new one-pagers that are coming out almost on a daily basis about new technology, new programs, new types of services that each one of our service providers are offering. So we have that served up to us instantly. We have all of the newest, latest case studies that are out there. Why did Aon Insurance? Why did McDonald's? Why did UFC? Why are all of these companies choosing to move to unified communications? Hundreds, if not thousands of case studies, all at our fingertips being served up on a daily basis and talking about why the digital transformation is taking place. We all know that we learn by videos. So all of the latest and greatest videos that are out today about the products, the technology, where the market is going is all, again, served up to us here. And then lastly, our battle cards, which are essentially, we take all of the marketing information that most of the companies give us, and then a team of our writers, again, take that and do all of the research based on that, and then serve it up to Opex on a daily basis with all of the newest information from each and every service provider that exists. And this information is different than you would find in Gartner and Forrester. It's how did they get started? What's their trends? What types of customers are they going after? What verticals are they super strong at? What are they not doing well? How did they get their funding? How many seats did they deploy? You name it, we've gone out and done the research on it. And so this is extremely important. These first two tabs, Technology Navigator and the Product Overview, are where Opex comes in and gets their intellectual property. Now let's get into some of the cool stuff that is more geared towards you and what you would be extremely interested in with your IT teams to be looking at. And so the first one we're gonna do is the data center tool. This tool is very significant in its power. What JP just did here is he's showing you the global capabilities of this tool. For instance, we just highlighted Equinix. We are the largest partner with Equinix in the world, have been for years. And right now what we're doing is we're showing you this one particular provider and their 207 data centers that they currently have under management around the world. We can zoom into any continent here. We can go into Europe. We can click on any one of these cities. We can drill down on each facility if we so choose. And we can actually see what's inside of those facilities. What offerings do they have? What providers are they located in? We have mapped this out not only with Equinix, but every major data center on the planet. And so it gives us a very unique ability to compare data centers in a way that no one else can really compare data centers. And we can do it in not a matter of months or a matter of weeks. We can actually do it in a matter of seconds, and we'll show you that today. And so this is an incredible tool for us. Why don't we go ahead and show Atlanta, Georgia, one of the hot spots right now for disaster recovery. I like this particular part of the country because it shows how the tool is consistently changing. What I just did here is we heat mapped the Atlanta metro market. So there's about 50 or so data centers in this particular market here, give or take, in the major metro of Atlanta. And what we've done here is now we can search by actual providers. So maybe there's a particular provider that you're looking for. We can search by that. By the way, we can search by that from 25 miles to 200 miles to per state to the entire world. In addition to that, we can search by services. So the tool is smart enough to know that colo, private cloud, and public cloud exist in this radius that we're looking at. If it didn't exist, it wouldn't show up. We can also search by Cloud Connect. And now you can see that AWS, Azure, Google, IBM, Megaport, Packet Fabric, QTS, Switchboard, they're all located in this 50-mile radius. So we can down select whoever has those particular services if that's of interest to you. We can also search by data center tiering. Now, what you'll notice here is there's tier 2 and tier 3 only. It's kind of interesting because Georgia actually doesn't really believe in the Uptime Institute. So even though there are tier 4-like facilities there, it doesn't show up because they're not adhering to those compliances. In here as well is the compliance certifications. This is huge for any of you that are listening right now that have any type of compliance whatsoever driven into your business. We can search based on technology and compliance certifications around the world on any of our technologies. JP, do you want to kind of take over here and kind of talk a little bit about some of the overlays and the comparing?
Yeah, so, oops, looks like I lost my search there. One of the things that I love to do at this point is actually overlay a couple interesting data points. Let me get my Atlanta search queued back up. But basically, one of the powerful new features we just recently added is the ability to overlay risk and infrastructure data on top of a search. So for example, let's say you are interested in one of those public cloud offering data centers, and you want to see where are the public cloud nodes across the US or across the world even. If we zoom out a bit and show our public cloud overlay, we can very easily see where the instances of Azure, AWS, and Google are all located, right? And this helps sort of inform that conversation around public cloud offering and the latency conversation around which server you're going to be hitting and how much time it's going to take to move traffic around. Other overlays that we've got access to here, a couple risk-related ones. So if we look at nuclear reactors or US geological risk, that's another really interesting one. This just sort of informs a conversation of what does the risk profile look like for an individual facility. I find this one really interesting, right? This is a profile of the US, how much geological risk is any particular area prone to. And that can just be a really useful conversation if you're considering sort of, placing a facility. That's probably one of the main risk factors that you might be interested in exploring is where are the fault lines and how much risk is there for that particular facility. And there's other information here too. So US electricity cost being obviously a key driver for data center operations. We can tell you per state which states are going to have high average cents per kilowatt hour costs to operate. And that can just be another interesting data point to layer in. Another thing I like to bring up is it's very easy to compare across facilities. So if you are looking at a subset of these and you want to see what are some of the differences, we can easily sort of spin up a comparison across those, which is just going to tell you how those facilities stack up against each other, right? And this is just a really easy and quick way to get a high-level overview of these facilities and how they're different to inform your conversation around where you might think you might want to place your servers.
Yeah, like what we like to bring up here on the compare, because everything in our tool has the abilities to compare. And so the compare generally takes IT teams, months to do. It's a lot of granular information, from compliance to services to density to how much space they have left to what are their key services that they're offering to what are some of the gaps that they have. We can instantly generate some of those compare tools in seconds based on what your requirements as an enterprise is. It allows us to do some very, very unique things. We also have the ability to actually walk around the data center before we even go and see it. So for instance, we're going to pull up QTS's facility here. I think it looks like JP is going to be showing us. And this is really unique. What we're showing you here, this is QTS's major metro, one of the top 5 largest data centers in the world. And what we're showing you here is actually a brand new facade on the front. Why is that a brand new facade? That's brand new because Google just took an additional 200,000 square feet there. They're the largest tenant in this particular facility. Behind this building is a central office, very unique to this building, but we could also walk you down the street and show you the Bills Bondsman and the super scary jail that exists, and not so down the street. And so it's not in the greatest area, but this is the key to that tool. Before we go out and do any site visits for any type of data centers, imagine being able to pull it up, look at the facility, make sure that it's up to your standards before you actually get on a plane or get in a car and go and visit it. We're able to do that around the world in all of our facilities. And so it's just a key to being able to make the most educated decision when it comes to comparing the various data centers that exist. And it's a key tool for Opex. We have the ability to do print to PDFs as well and hand those out to your team so that you guys have the ability to do the research as well. All right, great. Next up, and again, questions, we can save that to the end, but that's the data center tool. There's a lot more to it than just that, but we wanted to give you guys a high-level overview of some of the capabilities. The next tool is the fiber tool, which has never been more important in the world that we all live in today. As a matter of fact, by the minute with coronavirus, this is becoming an incredibly strategic tool, especially from work from home and other various reasons. What I'm going to show you here, and this is a very important thing for you guys all to understand, is the amount of intellectual property that we have at our fingertips. So right here, we just lit up every data center and every lit building in the United States. I'm now going to light up all the long haul fiber. This is all the various fiber providers and their long haul networks. And now we're going to light up all of the metro fiber as well. What you see here that looks like a kid's coloring book is actually all of the infrastructure and fiber under the ground. This is the reason why we believe Opex should be helping you navigate the confusion of markets like SD-WAN more than any other firm on the planet. If you're looking to migrate from private networks to the public internet, which majority of the country is looking at doing right now, this tool allows us to go in and find the absolute most optimal IP connections you could possibly have at all of your facilities. So it's a very powerful tool. Let me show you how it works. Why don't you go ahead and type in Chicago, 2 North Riverside. Here in Chicago. We're going to show you one of the locations here. We're going to zoom in on this particular location. So imagine us doing this at any one of your locations out there. What you'll see here is 2 North Riverside. JP's got his mouse over there. You see our address, and then you see the on-net carriers. Those carriers are what's inside of the building and have facilities and are ready to be deployed at a moment's notice. What I love to point out is we brought in, prior to Corona, we brought in another gig connection of Cogent because we have a tremendous amount of IP going through our office, and the tool is instantly updated in there. Below, you'll see all of the fiber routes that exist. Now, these are both the metro and long haul. And we all know that maybe you're looking for 10 gig or 100 meg or 1 gig. We're not going to pop into long haul. So we can eliminate long haul completely. As a matter of fact, we can even eliminate all of the metro. We can pick particular providers that we want to look at. We can literally look at anything that's possible. You want dual entrance access. You want triple entrance access. The most redundancy. What's possible is what's in front of us right here. We can switch over to satellite view to verify that we're looking at the right buildings. We can really look at this in various different ways, but the tool allows us to do very unique things. Now you'll notice all of the little blue buildings or the little blue dots there. Our pricing analysts, Opex is surrounded by a full team of pricing analysts that are ready on a moment's notice to go out and do all of this work for you. What they'll do is, let's say this is Des Moines, Iowa, or a location that you have that maybe doesn't have as much fiber in the ground as Chicago does. You can click on any of these. JP will click on that little blue dot there, and you'll notice the address changes, and then the on-net carriers change as well. This is what our analysts will do to make sure that we look at every possibility for you for each and every one of your locations. This is critical when it comes to SD-WAN, making sure that we have the best of the best going into each one of your facilities. And so our pricing analysts and inside channel managers and channel teams that support Opex are extremely well versed with this tool and how to utilize it, along with our engineering team as well. Anything I missed on that, JP?
Yeah, I do like to call out here the quick quote capability, because I doubt we'll have time for a full demo of that today. But we do have the option now to actually price out these addresses through a subset of our carriers for internet services, as well as a variety of other products. So there's actually a very quick and easy way to get actual real pricing back from a good chunk of the, the connectivity carriers that we represent directly through the tool here as well.
Yeah, and so this allows us to do some quick budgetary pricing for you almost instantly, give you an understanding of what's happening in the market, and give you the ability to really kind of budget in what potentially an SD-WAN, an internet solution, diversity, you name it, for any of your facilities. We've actually just added point-to-point capabilities, which allow us to do that in real time as well, from DIA to IP to point-to-point, soon MPLS as well. Okay. So this is our fiber tool and data center tool. These are vital in helping kind of that transformation that's taking place. But what we really hold near and dear to our heart is our process, the Opex process that we go through, along with our core of engineers and teams that support you, is our IQA technology, AKA an RFP in your hand. Now, I know a lot of you that work for a lot of really large companies are sometimes tasked with putting out an RFP, and we totally understand that. But we also believe that there's a better way of doing it, a quicker way of doing it. When we have access to the amount of people that we have access to, engineering, service providers, it's more about learning what you currently have today inside of your environment and where you want to go in the future. And essentially, this is what that tool is. We have developed these IQA tools across virtually every vertical that we represent, from work from home to cloud backup to help desk to managed services to security to TEMS to unified communications, CCAS, you name it, we have it. This is something that you and your team could fill out very, very, very simply that would identify everything that you have inside of your organization. These forms are particularly intelligent, meaning they grow and shrink based on the information that you put into it. So if you have a Cisco bias or an Avaya bias or whatever the case may be, it'll start to recognize that and ask you some more additional questions. You don't have to fill these out in its entirety, but the more information that you put into this, the better off that us as collective advisors are going to be able to get to the answer for you quickly. But these are crucial to start a process of evaluating technology that you can bring into your firm. Now, what we love to point out about these particular forms and this technology is that it allows Opex to ethically pit the industry against one another, getting the absolute best out of them. So for instance, if you're interested in SD-WAN or infrastructure or unified communications and you take the time to fill this out, you're not going to have to repeat yourself every time you get on with a service provider and engineering team. They're already going to be armed with the information about who you are, what you're about, and where you want to go. It also allows us to eliminate all of the noise from the providers that just won't make any sense for you. So we cut down on that time frame it takes to get to the right service providers, and we cut down on that phone time that it takes to really get them up to speed about who you are. Again, these are instrumental in the information that we're also harvesting for our research and analytics. So generally, we're seeing trends before Gartner, Forrester, or IDC because we're receiving thousands of these forms, and we're able to not only understand where you are today, but where you want to go in the future. So again, IQA Technologies, it's huge for us in OpEx. Anything I missed on that, JP?
No, you covered the highlights. I mean, from a process standpoint, I love to shout out our engineering team as well. I mean, what they take with this information is they're heat mapping all of the data provided as part of those forms against our service providers so that you're getting the best fit with recommendations and justification for each one of those recommendations that they're providing. So I think that's huge. You mentioned, from a process standpoint, the technology is not just about the form, but the people behind it. And just to shout out that team, that's really the group that makes these forms sing.
I completely agree. All right, next up, we're going to show you. So far, the ones that really are applicable to you, the data center locator, the fiber locator, we just covered the IQAs. Now we're going to get into what we call the dynamic matrices. I touched a little bit upon the research and analytics that we are harvesting. This tool, by the way, for everybody that's at home, this is all Salesforce. So everything that you're looking at here is completely built on the Salesforce platform. I bring that up because it's a unique platform that allows us to make dynamic changes instantly on a moment's notice, but also it allows us to harvest the data in a way that we're able to study those trends, similar to how I brought up in the IQA technology. We have recently gone out and created a division of our company called Avant Research and Analytics that feeds OpEx research and analytics not found anywhere else in the industry. We believed that the Gartner and the Forresters and the IDCs, albeit kind of a stalwart in the industry and something that most of you probably read, there is a very big hunger for alternative data that's out there. Because we see thousands and thousands of opportunities and we've grown to become the largest partner with virtually all of our service providers, we have a purview that really no one else has. And we're able to do it in real time. So a traditional analyst at Gartner who might make 200 phone calls on SD-WAN that's covering the space, we see almost 200 opportunities a day. So it's a vastly different, and it's not looking in the rearview mirror. It's actually looking at it happening in real time, which is basically the pace of technology today. And so in here, what we've done is we've tapped into our research and analytics arm and given the ability for the trusted advisor community like OpEx to be able to help show you who makes sense for you in real time. So we can pull up things like unified communications, which is an absolutely probably the hottest technology in the industry today. And it's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to move to that. So doing the amount of research on this quickly is absolutely pivotal to making the right decision. So for instance, one of Courtney's large customers, will give you a good example that we did this with. They were located in APAC, EMEA, and North America. So we'll click on those three. You're going to start to see some of the weights of these providers move around in that matrix. Now, they also had made an investment in Polycom handsets, HD handsets, so we'll click on that. And then their cloud app integrations, they were a massive, one of the largest Salesforce shops in the country. They were also a massive SAP shop and a Google shop. So we'll click on some of those as well. They didn't really have a preference on platform, but they were still a Gartner Magic Quadrant reader as well. So we'll click on that. And now we'll generate a matrix. We just focused on some of the primary driving factors for them to move to unified communications. And what we've been able to do is eliminate the market and narrow it down for them. Based on those major criterias, we have identified that 8x8, Evolve, Fuse, LogMeIn, Masergy, RingCentral, Archidin, and Dialpad have all made the cut, both from an international perspective, a layer 7 application perspective. We then grouped it into a 2 and 3 and 4, which we could probably go through and eliminate the majority of those providers based on some of either their geographical limitations or some of their application limitations and API hook-ins. What you'll see here is also information that you can't find anywhere else from a research and analytics. From how did they get started? Where did they get their funding? What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? What are the new products that they're coming after? You name it, we have built it all out in here through our analytics and research. constantly being updated in a day-by-day basis, almost real-time information for you to make the right information when it comes to selecting service providers. Again, when we start to eliminate some of these service providers, we'll bring it to our engineers to double check to make sure that they didn't meet the criteria for your search. But what we've done here is we've quickly allowed the Opex team to navigate the massive ecosystem of service providers that exist out there and limited it down to the ones that make sense specifically for you and your enterprise. Again, we have built this out across every technology, whether it's DAS, whether it's security, whether it's connectivity, whether it's here, unified communications, contact center as a service, you name it, we have built these IQAs and research to be able to do this for us quickly. This is, again, a purview into some of the analytics and research that we have at our fingertips. JP, anything else?
I mean, I think you hit on the highlights. There's a couple extra bells and whistles on the matrix here, but I think the big takeaway is we hear clients come back to us and just say, look, you guys are saving our teams 6 to 9 months of research, right? Every single company that we're presenting this to has created this spreadsheet in one form or another, right? And we're maintaining this data in real time in partnership with these vendors. And so this is outstanding real-time, high-quality data that we can generate on a moment's notice. And I think that's the real value add is it's just time savings for you and your team to vet out who's going to be a good fit and who's not, and do it quickly and accurately.
So some of you might be having questions right now about how do we keep this up to speed? How do we get all of this relevant information in here in real time? And I'm going to kind of just break down that question for you in a few different ways. One, we have collected thousands of trusted advisors using this day in and day out, constantly validating and checking the tool on a day-by-day basis. If they see something that's changed, they're instantly able to notify us and we're instantly able to make those changes. We also have a massive team internally that is keeping this up to date on a real-time basis, constantly in the tools, making changes as they happen in real time. And then the service providers are also plugged in API into the tool, allowing them to make changes in real time as well. So what that's done is it's allowed for a very unique process that is extremely fluid and keeps the tool consistently up to speed, even as fast as the market is moving. But as fast as the market is moving and things are changing and adoption is increasing quicker and quicker, the tool will always stay relevant based on that. And so crowdsourcing is an incredible feature functionality of this tool and how we keep it up to date. One last thing with technology before we get into any questions too, I want to kind of show you one more thing that Opex has at their fingertips. Opex is obviously one of the unique trusted advisors that we have with some serious experts that work there with an engineering team as well. So they take advantage of all of the feature functionalities of our tool. If you could click back and show them Ninja Notes real quick. Ninja Notes is very, very unique to Opex as well. This is a purview into all of our engineers and everything that they're doing on a daily basis. And so our entire team of engineers are consistently studying, training, doing lunch and learns. They are embedded with our service providers on learning the latest and greatest of the features and functionalities and technology that exist. And so everything that they do, they have to document inside of our systems. And so everything that they document is here, served up, utilizing our AI and machine-based learning. And so you could see any meeting that they might have had last week, what did they learn, what are the changes, what's evolving. Again, all driven by the AI and machine-based learning. So you could be an insurance company and you're really concerned with the new HIPAA compliances that are coming out, but you're interested in SD-WAN and maybe tying that in with unified communications. You can even see some of the research that's been happening in real time in just the last few days. So in wrapping, these are the main tools that we have at our disposal. There's obviously a tremendous amount more to this tool than that, but we wanted to kind of give you a window into what we use every single day. This tool is a lifeblood for us for all of our decision making and how we're able to do things faster than anyone else in the market. But it's also a wealth of information that you really can't find anywhere else on the planet. And it's very focused on, again, the connectivity world, the data center world, the cloud world, and then lastly, cloud security, which kind of wraps everything together. So with that being said, I'll kind of wrap up a little bit here. There might be some questions before we kind of go into some of our last slides that we have. So if you have any questions, feel free to either send it in on the chat or obviously raise your hand as well. Now, one of the things that I would suggest is you're kind of thinking about this, but Opex does an amazing job of demos. And so coming in there, maybe doing a real world scenario, having your teams fill out any of our IQA technology to get it back to us. I can't stress to everyone listening enough. This is all we do. So whether you're looking to make any potential moves today, tomorrow, next year, or down the line, research is key and having all the information at your fingertips. So it's absolutely no skin off our back to be able to go in there, take your IQA forms, give you demos, do the research for you, curate it so it's perfectly to what you're looking for. Again, this is why the trusted advisor movement is exploding right now. It's about that navigation of the disruption that the market is currently going through.
We had a question come in. How often is all of the information on Pathfinder updated with all the providers that you have and all the technology that is changing? How often is it updated?
Yeah, again, it's updated on a daily basis. So, because of our crowdsourcing methodology and the unique approach that we're taking from an update perspective, we've made massive investments in the team that we have building out this tool internally. And their sole job every day is to make sure that the content is completely up to date. We also have every single one of our service providers, hundreds of service providers that are API plugged into this. So they too, the minute anything else gets updated is instantly plugged into the tool. And then lastly, we have thousands of trusted advisors utilizing the tool across the country. So anytime they see anything needed to be updated and changed, again, that is notified and updated immediately as well. So we really covered all bases when it comes to keeping the tool up to date, fresh, and making sure that it's got all the relevant information involved in it.
Another question, do you have any statistics on close rates of those trusted advisors that do use the Pathfinder?
Yeah, I mean, close ratios because of the tools and the intellectual property are over 80%. So generally, when any of you that are listening right now have an opportunity that comes to us, whether it's, hey, I've got a on-prem PBX, work from home is kind of not going as well as we want it. We know that work from home is the new Fifth Avenue office space. It's not necessarily about physical space. So we want to identify how to make work from home absolutely lights out. When they go ahead and utilize our feature functionality and the tools and technology that we have, they see how quickly they can narrow down the industry. They can start to really pick the service providers that make the most sense for them, ultimately shortening that time frame, which leads to extremely high productivity of those particular tools.
Is there a way that we can search for things like HIPAA compliant or other compliances?
Yeah, so you can search via compliance inside of the tool instantly. So virtually every major enterprise compliance that is driving your business today, you have the ability to down select the service providers and facilities that make the most sense for you. So it's a huge part of this tool. Compliance is affecting everybody. It's not getting any easier. It's getting more complicated. And so this tool has mapped out all compliance based on all providers and everything that they adhere to and everything that you need to comply to from a company perspective.
Yeah, to build on that a bit, I'm showing here a search of HIPAA just as a compliance as a keyword. What we're seeing is results not just of case studies that are tagged or have HIPAA in the title, but we index everything down to the actual content of a case study and the transcript of a video. So if anyone's talking about HIPAA, if anyone's mentioning HIPAA in their case study, we can actually find it through the intelligent search feature here too. So that can be a really powerful way to sort of figure out, hey, where has HIPAA been applied before? How is it relevant? How does it tie into some of these technologies that I'm reading about? There's a really easy way to get relevant resources to that kind of information through the Pathfinder.
Awesome. Any other questions out there? Well, great. We're going to put up one last slide here just to kind of remind everybody, and we'll give everybody some time back in the day. Hopefully this was super informational for everyone in terms of what the tools are that Opex has at their fingertips. We're doing an event based for Opex and their customers. It's a CIO event, Tuesday, May 19th. Please mark it down. We'd love to have you. We will have a focus on security, the state of security. So if you're interested in anything around cyber and what's happening right now in the world, we have some of the top security analysts hopping on from some of the unusual suspects of service providers, the firms that are, they're not the Symantec's of the world or the Palos, are the ones that surround that, the ones that are monitoring that, managing that, setting the honey traps, you name it, talking about all of the things that are happening on the scary side of the dark web will all be on this particular call, and some of the service providers that are tackling those issues. I'll have a special guest, Sam Esmail. He is the man behind Mr. Robot. If anybody has ever watched Mr. Robot, a cult following all about cybersecurity television show. He's got a couple other new shows coming out as well on Netflix. And we'll be having Alert Logic, CenturyLink, Masergy, RingCentral, and TrustWave on there from a service provider. So it should be an incredible program. We'd love to have you guys join us on behalf of Opex and look forward to having you there. If there are no other questions, appreciate you guys having us on. Court, as always, love you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Drew and JP. You guys are great. I hope all our attendees enjoyed this time today and learned a little bit and saw a little more of how we do things from our side of the house. Would love to have follow-up conversations. If anybody has questions, feel free to give us a call. And please stay safe and healthy. And thanks so much. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care.